Hi guys, and welcome to Katie's Insight, where I give my insight on all kinds of things, including news, business, finance, current events, entertainment, politics, and right now, most importantly, stimulus and the election, because unfortunately, they are going to be tied, married at the hip. Not because I want them to be, but this is just the reality. I've been saying this for months. This is a stimulus election, and what happens is going to determine when we get help and how. And unfortunately, the situation is a nonstop crap fest. But welcome to 2020 as it is. Welcome to what America was before. 2020, I think, is just putting a big spotlight on all the issues we have in our country that we just haven't wanted to look at or haven't faced. So I want to go into detail with you guys. You saw the title of the video. What's going on with $2,000 a month stimulus checks? There is another big push for it, and I want to go into detail with that. So let me give you guys a little bit of heads up information first. And then before I do, guys, make sure and like this video because I'm giving away $100 gift cards. Really simple to be eligible. This is all you have to do to win one. Like our video, subscribe, hit notifications, comment, share the content, boom. You're entered, you're eligible, that's all you have to do. Make sure and do it for every video you see. And guys, the more comments you leave, the more times you share, the more chances you have to win. If you leave 100 comments, it's 100 times more chance to win a gift card, and it helps me grow the channel. So I'm so grateful. The more I grow, the more I can give back to you guys. So yay, good luck on that. And then guys, add me on Facebook, Katie's Insight, like the page, join the group, Katie's Corner. Will be changed to Katie's Insight soon. We are daily sharing different types of stimulus information to try to help you guys through all of the crazy stuff that is going on. Okay, so let's get into this. So where are we at with stimulus? Well, as most people know, we are at a standstill. At least right before the election, there were a few months where we had Steve Mnuchin, Mark Meadows, Trump at times, and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer meet behind closed doors trying to get a deal done. However, nothing happened. Typically, everything would unravel because what we were hearing were the Democrats were unwilling to relent. And it sucks because we got super close. We had the White House coming up to 1.8, 1.9 trillion, and the Democrats were 2.2 trillion. Even though Democrats are a little bit sneaky and they're saying, well, we came down, they really just shortened time periods of programs. But to the Democrats' credit, I can say now that I do agree with Nancy Pelosi where she said the bill keeps getting higher because more and more months go on without people getting help. So of course, more cost is accruing. That I think that's completely legitimate and that makes perfect sense. So I agree with that. Now, they weren't ever to get anything to go through and pass. Typically, the talks would fall through, and we were hearing it was because of the Democrats. However, there's also another key player, the crypt keeper, our curmudgeon, Mitch McConnell. My favorite person in all of this. He's just, y'all, he's awful. Like, he's just, how were Nancy and I keep saying it every video, but I'm going to keep saying it. How were they voted back in? I don't understand. Kentucky, California, what are y'all doing? What do you see in these people? But here's the big problem we have with stimulus. There are two big issues. So number one, nothing gets past Mitch McConnell. He proudly proclaims he is the crypt keeper, meaning when bills go to him, they go to die. And since he is the Senate Majority Leader, he basically keeps throwing out anything that the Democrats put in. The Democrats several months ago had the HEROES Act, and the HEROES Act was $3.4 trillion. I believe it was about 6 months ago in May. $3.4 trillion, huge bill, they rejected it. So then, per the terms and discussions with the president behind closed doors, Nancy Pelosi brought it down to $2.2 trillion. Senate won't touch it, won't look at it, won't do anything with it. So even though they were doing these negotiations, the president didn't have enough weight behind him to sway the Senate. And it's not just Mitch McConnell who's evil in the Senate, as you guys might know. Mitch has literally been bragging. We have 22 senators out of all the senators, and there aren't many guys. We have 22 senators who have said, I'm not going to let anything pass. So Mitch McConnell kind of dooms us in general. We have literally 22 people. So what is that? So if we have 100 senators, right? There's 2 per each state, 2 Senate representatives per each state. So that means 100. So what is 22 of those? That is over 20% of the senators said they don't want to help us at all. Why are we electing these people? Why are they still getting checks? Why are they still getting salaries? These are the things that are constantly on my mind when it comes to these awful people and what they are doing to us. But that's the problem that we are having. Now here's the other one. The other real fun icing, the icing and the cherry on top of the cake. It's not even a cherry. At this point, we have a turd cake with diarrhea icing and I don't know, like a hairball cherry. Ew, why did I say that? Why did you guys let me say, now I'm grossed out. Okay, let me get that out of my head, but now I'm just thinking about, ew, I don't want to talk about it, ew. Okay, so with all that being said, I've grossed myself out, I've lost my train of thought. Now all I can think about is a crap cake. I mean, it's on point with exactly what I'm talking about. The election, okay, calm, focused. I'm a professional. So the election happened, as we know, and it's an upheaval because, so the media has called it for Biden. The media can't really call it for Biden, but the media does what it does because it's a big evil conglomerate with all the mainstream medias, including Fox. They're all awful. I don't like any of them. It's always funny. People are like, we can tell you're conservative. You read Fox News to us. And I'm like, and I also do CNN, CBS, CNBC. Like I give you guys all kinds of different news sources, and you have to take all of it, unfortunately, with a grain of salt because the news lies to us consistently. I don't understand why Facebook allows all the major media news corporations to be there when we know they lie consistently, but then they fact check everything else. I always think that's really funny. Good job, Facebook. Zuckerberg. Makes me so mad, guys. I don't trust any of these people, and I don't think we should. We have no reason to. To me, it's like, if I want to trust you, you got to give me a reason to trust you. These people give me this many reasons to trust them. But, so they've called the election for Biden. However, there's a lot of evidence going around about election and voter fraud. And we know Trump, love him, hate him, indifferent. Trump is a bulldog. Trump also, for one of his strengths and weaknesses, doesn't like to lose. So Trump has been going on a huge well, I can't say huge campaign. He's actually been fairly quiet. Now, when I say that, he's always active on Twitter. He's always running his mouth on Twitter, and more power to him. That's within his right. And Twitter just keeps censoring and censoring and censoring him, which I find interesting. Twitter also is one that is really, really upsetting. I'm not on Twitter. By the way, there's a Katie's Insight on Twitter. That is not me, guys. This has been brought to my attention. I am not on Twitter, and I'm not on Twitter for very good reason. Twitter is disgusting. Like, I think it's funny that they want to censor things the president is saying and act like it's not factually correct, even though they're not really sure of that. However, they let the election be called for Biden, even though we don't yet know if Biden is won, and they let all kinds of awful things go on that site. Awful things. I'm just going to put it like that because I don't want to get in trouble with anybody, but awful stuff. Awful, awful stuff. Women and children being hurt, people being harassed, and they just don't care. So I always think it's interesting how they pick and choose the censorship. But Trump has been speaking out on Twitter about this. He is not happy. He puts out YouTube videos, and he has a team of lawyers across the country. And what they're trying to do is these pivotal states where Trump has supposedly lost, they're trying to overturn. Now, there is a lot of talk about this program called Dominion. Dominion was a program that they had that helped basically process all the ballots. And apparently, like 2 million some ballots ended up going for Biden when they should have gone for Trump. And there were all these last minute glitches that were all in favor of Biden. So my point is to say, unfortunately, this election is not over, and it's not going to be over for a while because Trump is going to stay on this. Trump don't like to lose, and especially if he's going to see that some BS is afoot. I think it's funny the media has been spinning stuff. Again, they always spin stuff with Trump. They've been spinning stuff about Trump and saying, they've been saying different things like, well, Trump actually admitted to losing. But when you listen to it, it's not what Trump has said. Trump is explaining the reason that Biden has been called as a winner is incorrect. So, you know, I try to be as unbiased as possible. I've told you guys my bias. My bias is mainstream news. If I have any bias, I can't stand those people and the people at the top, like Nancy and Mitch, all of them, right? And so when I see the mainstream news just constantly berate Trump and constantly take him out of context, and here's the really interesting, which we're going to get into in just a minute. Joe Biden just came out with a press conference detailing in a lot more in detail about his economic plan and all the things that are to come to help the country through the virus, which is fantastic because we need this help. And he actually has some really good ideas. Funny enough, a lot of his ideas are the same ideas Trump has had, and I'm not knocking him for that. If policies work, they work. I don't care who it is in office. Help people get it done. Stop hurting women and children behind the scenes because the government gets very dark. That's all I'm saying, right? That's my only real big push in this situation. Get somebody good in there. I don't care who, because I don't trust any of them. I don't necessarily trust that Biden's going to do his job, but I don't really trust Trump either, even though a lot of Trump's policies and a lot of what Trump has done has worked. A lot of Biden's policies, the things he wants to put in place, guess who did it first? Trump! And guess what happened when Biden talked about it? Oh my God, he's the media darling. Everybody loves him. Oh, this is going to be great. But when Trump talks about it, he's the evil R word. He's the awful guy. And it's the hypocrisy that bothers me. That's it. Not saying Trump doesn't have issues. He apparently does. Remember, if you guys saw the Netflix documentary, which is the first time I learned about this, those 4 kids back in the day, those 4 African-American kids in New York City who were accused of another type of R word, not being nice to women, basically, please infer, and it ended up being BS, and Trump took out that full-page ad about that. Yeah, that's some pretty awful stuff. So I'm not saying there's nothing awful going on, right? That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just talking about how the media constantly spins him versus Biden, where he had his 1994 crime bill, where he literally put hundreds of thousands of Black people in prison for almost no reason. You know, modern-day forms of slavery. So which one is worse? Neither one is good. I take actions over words, but it's both crap. Does that make sense what I'm saying? And more power and respect to all of our minority communities. Y'all have gotten the real crap end of the stick for too long. Things need to be fixed. I'm all for that. I want you to know that. So again, I wish, I get frustrated because I feel like I'm one of the only middle of the road voices that I ever hear on YouTube or on any platform. It's always the this, you gotta be this side or this side. And I'm like, we gotta come together, guys. We have to see the weaknesses in all the arguments and the strengths in the arguments and then come together and be able to fix things. Because I'm tired of this divide and conquer, and that's what they do. You gotta be one side or the other. And it's just so stupid, and both sides have to echo the exact same sentiments or you're blah, blah, blah. To me, the left is worse at it at this point. It's weird, the conservatives are a lot more open, and it didn't used to be like this. The same people that said the LGBT are bad for the Bible 10 years ago are now the more open party. How did this happen? But let's go ahead and let's dive in. I know I've been rambling a little bit, but I just get really irritated by some of this stuff. But I want to go ahead and talk about this. So Biden has talked about his economic plan. If you haven't seen it, check out the video from yesterday, or it might be from earlier, because I've had some issues. I've had tech issues. Hopefully it's getting fixed by the end of this week. We're trying to get everything up and running so I can keep giving you guys good content, because I love giving you content. I like making money, and I like helping you guys get money. But he put out a plan. Now, what's interesting is that at this same time, Bernie Sanders has been speaking up and saying we need $2,000 a month. And the rumor of the things that are swirling right now is, as we know, Kamala Harris, at least for now, is the VP-elect, the vice president. So Kamala Harris, Ed Markey, and Bernie Sanders had their own bill that they put in place in the Congress. And it didn't go anywhere, unfortunately, but this bill has called for $2,000 stimulus checks. Now, we know that Kamala is not the president, so at the end of the day, she's not making the decisions. But she's in like the second highest office for the moment, or at least elected to that you can be. And that has to have some weight on the situation with what Biden is trying to do. Obviously, her word, her input is going to matter. So I wanted to go over a little bit of information with you guys on some of the stuff that Bernie has been saying and what's going on there, because I want to go into exactly what's happening, who's going to get what, and is it possible? Are we getting $2,000 stimulus checks soon? Recurring, retroactive. So let's look at this. So this is from Newsweek. And it says, what Bernie Sanders has said about a new stimulus package. Bernie Sanders called on the Senate to pass a real stimulus package, providing $2,000 a month to working class households and $600 per week for the unemployed as the virus cases continue to rise across the U.S. I'll tell you one thing that's growing more and more frustrating with me. I am perfectly fine to do $600 extra a week for unemployment. I think they need that. I also think we should give it to people on disability and benefits. Fight me. No, I'm kidding. I don't think most people disagree with that. I think the way we've treated our chronically sick and disabled in this country, and the people on benefits, our elderly, we should be ashamed of ourselves. So if we're going to do that, why don't we also go ahead and do that for people with benefits? And I say this from experience. If I were to actually go for what my doctor says and my health care and what my health really is, I should be on disability. But guess what? Mama can't live on $300 a month. So I have to find all these crazy, weird alternative ways to try to get better. Thankfully, they're working, which is why sometimes you see tufts of hair coming out. That shows that it's working, as well as the fact that I can even do all the work that I'm doing in the way that I'm doing it, but I have to be careful with it. So yeah, the $600 a week, let's also give that to people that need it most. Unemployed, yes, I would agree. And also hazard pay, because put your life on the line and screw you, y'all. The Vermont-based senator said the next stimulus package would also have to offer Medicare to all, as Americans supposedly face economic devastation in the face of growing wave of virus infections. I would be all for Medicare for all. At that point, that sounds like it would be universal health care. It has to be done correctly. And when I say that, I'm speaking as somebody who's lived in a country with universal health care and benefited from that. I lived in France for almost 2 years. I've been through their healthcare system. It's amazing, especially somebody with chronic health issues. I love their healthcare system, but you got to remember, France is like the size of one of our states. Europe is super small. So I think it would have to be like by a state or a county by county process. I wouldn't know how to implement that, but I'm all for it because I think it's barbaric that we let people die or go bankrupt from illnesses. But then again, that's our brainwashing that says you have to work to the bone and you have to work as a slave or screw you, you are lazy. This is just what we are in the United States, unfortunately. I hope the situation with the virus illuminates that and changes things for everybody. The independent senator previously called the Republican Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell pathetic, as both GOP and Democratic lawmakers failed to strike a deal on another stimulus package long after the first round of individual checks were sent out. And yeah, it is pathetic. And you guys, also another thing, there is going to be, apparently Mitch McConnell's putting other bills. He's going to try to reintroduce the skinny bill as well as the HEALS Act. The HEALS Act was their version of the HEROES Act that's super slimmed down. And then they have the slim down version called the Skinny Act, or I like to say the Bones Act. That it's just awful. And he can't get anything passed, but apparently they're going to be passing some stuff around to see what they can do. It just, the Democrats and the Republicans are just consistently both blocking one another, so I don't think it's going to go anywhere. But we'll see, especially because we're in a lame duck session and we don't fully know what's happening with the presidency coming up. So it says, a new Democratic Senate will immediately pass a major stimulus bill that restores $600 a week unemployment supplement and other benefits that workers desperately need. He said on October 21st, a little more than a week before the election. As the Senate met to confirm the appointment of Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett ahead of the election, Sanders called for attention to instead be diverted to passing more virus relief for struggling Americans. What we should be voting on instead of a major virus stimulus package to protect the working people of this country, who, by the tens of millions, have lost their jobs. They're struggling right now to pay rent, get health insurance, and put food on the table to feed their kids, he said. Well, obviously, that is the issue we should be dealing with right now, and I'm committed to ensuring that the next U.S. Senate, under Democratic leadership, will make a major virus stimulus bill the first order of priority. At the time of writing, Democrats could gain effective control of the Senate if they beat the Republican incumbent Senators Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue in January's Georgia upper chamber runoff contest. And there's a big thing right now when it comes to certain senators and certain House of Representatives members where things are so close, states could be getting flipped from one to another. We'll have to see. The first Senate runoff poll puts the GOP incumbents ahead by slim margins. But should the Democratic challengers win those races, the Senate will be split 50-50, leaving the Vice President-elect Kamala Harris with the deciding vote, assuming there are no Democratic defections. Senator Sanders issued his latest call for further virus stimulus packages as the Center for Disease Control and Prevention reported more than 143,000 new virus cases on Wednesday, the highest number of fresh infection, just the word fresh infection creeps me out, recorded in a single day. The graphic below, and then they give a graph on this and kind of what it looks like, but basically that's what it is. He is calling for all of us to get that money. Now, honestly, I'm all for it. But what's happening with Biden's plan? Because we've been getting bits and pieces and chunks of information, and now more and more information is coming out that I want to share with you. So, first of all, let's look at Kamala Harris and Bernie Sanders' plan. So, they call for $2,000 a month stimulus checks, and it's called the Monthly Economic Crisis Support Act. That's what this is called. I'll never remember that, guys. But in this is where there's a little bit of difference. We give up to $2,000 a month to anybody earning up to $120,000 a year, where before I think the cutoff was like $99,000 and sometimes it was $75,000 depending on the bill. The monthly payments begin to phase out starting at $100,000 per year, and then it just basically tailors to wherever your money is. Married couples who file jointly would receive $4,000. And now this one's interesting. You can receive $2,000 for each dependent, maximum 3 dependents. So each household could be getting $10,000 a month. A month, theoretically. Now, typically when it comes to dependents, people have been talking about anywhere between $500, $800, and maybe $1,000. So the fact that they want to do $2,000 for up to 3 is a lot of money. $10,000 per household. I don't really know financially how that would be feasible. I'm all for it. I just don't know how that would come into play. The legislation would be retroactive to March 2020. So that means, let's say that Kamala Harris's monthly Economic Crisis Support Act got passed. Not saying it will. It would probably pass in February or March. That would mean families would just get 120 grand. Some of them fall into their lap. Crazy amount of money. So it says, every U.S. resident can receive a payment regardless if they file taxes or have a social security number. Now, this is where I don't think this is going to pass, because what's been put in place so far is that people with ITIN numbers or TIN numbers, they can get stimulus up to a certain point. Now, those are people who might not be permanent legal residents, but they do work in this country and pay taxes. They're saying anybody can receive the payment. That is not, no matter what your opinion is on that situation, I won't even say the word, the I with the 2 M's and the R and the A. I won't even say the word because YouTube will get upset. I've tested this out. I've tried it before. But regardless of what your stance is on that, the GOP is just not going to let that slide. They're not going to let it slide. And the payments would last until 3 months after the end of the virus pandemic. So if this virus went on another 2 years, whenever the CDC or the WHO, depending on who we're going with, what week, depending on what they say in terms of when the end is, it would last 3 more months after that. I mean, I think it's a great plan. I think that would have helped keep people in lockdown. That would have definitely helped keep people in lockdown. The problem that we're going to face with a lot of that is that where's the money coming from? And if it's free money for anybody, regardless of their status. So how do you manage that? What is the proper way of dealing with it? And I'm not saying, look, here's the thing. I think you guys know me at this point to know I'm all for helping as many people as possible, if it can be done. But I think we all learn as we get older, before you help other people, you have to be able to help yourself. Your cup has to be overflowing before you share. If you're in a boat and there are holes in it, you don't just keep putting more people in the boat. You fix your holes, you get the boat up nice running, you expand it, and then you let other people onto the boat to help. That's just so we don't all drown, right? That's just how it works. So I would say, how would they be doing this? How would this be happening? So now I want to go over in some more details what Biden just put out. I have some notes here. So we'll go over this for his economic plan. So the economic plan, it's really big on, which I was really interested in this. He's focused on job creation and renewable energy / climate change initiatives. I do not think during the pandemic we need to be worried about the climate, honestly. And I'm not one of those people who says, some people say the thing is real, it's not real about climate change. I'm not saying any of that. What I am saying, I think it's very obvious something is happening. I just don't think we are allowed access into exactly what that is. And I think we're lied to and manipulated all the time. Like I said, I feel this way about the virus. Some people say, oh, it's not a thing. I would never say that. It absolutely is a thing. How bad it is and how much it's affecting people, I think we're lied to. That's it. And I'm not even saying exactly one way or another which way. It just seems like there are certain things where you look at the data, things don't add up. Not to say it's not real and not to say we shouldn't take it seriously. I absolutely, I'm all for that and I think that we should. I just look at things with one eyebrow raised when the data doesn't match up. Just like, I know people get mad at me for this, but just like with Trump, with the numbers with Trump, a lot of that stuff just doesn't add up when it comes to the election. Not because, oh, that's my boy and I want him to win, but because math, logistics, statistics just doesn't add up. So here's what the breakdown of this. So for state and local funding, 45% is going to go to the state, 45% is going to go to local, and 10% will go to the places that are hot spots where they are trying to, get under control. I think that's good because you can have a state that has hot spots in some areas, but not others. So that targets where the money is being spent, targets the funding, which, you know, that's what the GOP wants. The GOP is constantly saying targeted funding. So I think this is good. And again, this is Biden's plan. And then it says that he wants to give overtime for essential workers. Yes. Where's the hazard pay? I just feel like our essential workers should get 20 or 30 grand drop in their lap for the last year. Go buy a car, fix your home, buy a home, do whatever you need to do. You risked your lives to help us. Why are we arguing this? Why is this not a thing? That's another thing I think we have to look at in America. In America, because we're such a big capitalist country, in my opinion, we are totally fine taking advantage of other people in many ways. Because it's, you know, and remember that the statement you always hear, it's not personal, it's just business. I get it, and I can agree in some extents, but like in other extents, I can't. So like, for instance, with me, when I run business, I look at the people who work with me, especially the ones who really kill it and do a good job for me. I take their lives and their livelihood personal. I do. And I think we should all look a little more personally into these situations, right? However, if you go too personal with people, you can get taken advantage of. So it's, you know, again, as I've said, it's a middle of the road situation. You have to be able to weigh information and figure out what's the best path forward. So anyways, expanded hiring for essential workers. I think that's great. But I think, again, make sure you're either doing overtime or even if not, some type of hazard pay to make it worth their time, because it just irritates me. We're supposed to be quarantining, but we need essential workers, but we're not going to pay you more for risking your life. Then what's the incentive? What would be the incentive? And then it says medical supplies and infrastructure, building and renovating, which we've heard before. Now, here's a couple other things I want to get into. Emergency paid sick leave for people who are sick, quarantining, or taking care of somebody who is sick, like a family member, I think is great. They want that federally funded, but we don't yet know where that money would actually come from for this. So we would have to wait. But it looks like what they would want to do is they would want to have a situation where basically it would be like there's an emergency, what they're calling emergency paid leave fund. And they would have this go through the Social Security office and hire more people to make sure that could be put into place. So what they're trying to do is they want to give 100% weekly salary up to $1,400. So you could get up to $72,000 a year. So it would be for people who are sick. If you are a caregiver for somebody who is sick, if you are high risk, so like I've talked about this for a while, people like me with chronic health conditions, if you just can't do your job because it's not safe, and I've been saying they need to be able to help the sick and disabled here, the chronically sick, because a lot of people on disability and who are chronically sick still have to work because we don't hardly get anything. Schools, it says schools paid leave for gig workers, independent contractors, which I think is very, very important. Right now they have the PUA, but the PUA is ending at the end of December. And right now there's no stopgap. There's nothing to help it. They also want to have employers be able to give 14 extra sick days of paid sick leave to their employees. This is good. This is good so far. Now let's look at unemployment. So they want to completely take out that clause that you will be ineligible for unemployment if you don't work for work. Now, I know from having to look at unemployment and other people that I've spoken to, that most states have actually waived that, where it's like you're supposed to show and prove you tried to look for work, or I did applications for 3 different jobs, and that's being waived. So it looks like they want to permanently waive that through this situation, which I think is great because there's just not enough work for everybody, unfortunately. And considering we haven't helped small businesses nearly enough, as a result, there's just not enough jobs. It sucks, but there's not enough jobs for everybody. And I know we kind of have this mentality in America, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, but when the boots and the straps are taken away from you, what are you supposed to do? Do you know what I mean? So there has to be concessions there. So more money for support for unemployment offices. I have been screaming this. You guys know if you've been following me. I'm in Oklahoma. In Oklahoma, their systems they're running on. Ready? 40 years old, from the 1970s. They have technicians who are just specific in being able to fix these systems. They're running on old DOS programs. I am not exaggerating. I am not kidding. I am not joking. So I felt so bad for the Social Security workers and the unemployment workers. I felt horrible for them, knowing that they've been on a string of a shoestring budget and then had all these things thrown at them with PUA, with LWA. And I think they've done the best they can with what they can. And I think we can all be very grateful, like more love and respect to the unemployment workers. But it's ridiculous. It's sad, and it's life-threatening. And it's life-threatening how much they don't have to actually do their job with. They need more resources. I'm all for that. I've been screaming that for a while. Okay, so stop the mass amounts of denials from people who've lost their jobs at no fault of their own, but aren't eligible due to certain rules. And guys, that's another issue. There have been huge issues where they're like 50% of people just keep getting denied because they fit in one area, but not enough because because the rules with the virus and the rules with unemployment and certain things don't quite add up. And on top of that, guys, still so many people have been waiting for months. They've been waiting since March for unemployment. We're now in November, almost a year. I don't know how people are getting by. Oh, they're not. They're living in their cars if they're lucky enough to have one, or tents, because that's what you should do during a pandemic. I'm really disgusted that Nancy Pelosi has let her state just have homeless camps and tents everywhere during a pandemic when maybe just house those people. Isn't that the kind, tolerant, loving thing to do, Miss Nancy Pelosi on the left? So it says they want to do partial unemployment to those whose hours have been reduced because that's been an issue. A lot of people have gotten denied trying to do partial, even though they're supposed to. So they want to extend that. And they also want to extend things for the PUA, or what is considered the PUA. So more unemployment help for gig workers, independent contractors, which is great. They want to do more funding for the SNAP food stamps benefit program. SNAP is food stamps. It's a supplemental nutritional assistance program. And guys, if you need help with that, there is no shame to the SNAP game if you have to go on that. So you can dial 211 in your area to get access to where your local offices are. And they have they are really fast tracking things because everybody's been affected by the virus. So you can get a phone interview and within a week, you know, if you are a one-person household, you can get $200. The more people you have in your household, the more money you can get. And that could be a lifeline for people. So make sure and look into that. Okay, so we have business loan facilities. Now, this one I thought was really interesting. So this will last through the duration of the crisis. Now, this is different than the SBA. Now, in this, they do say they want to give more SBA funding, but you guys know the SBA had the PPP and the EIDL, and you guys know the horror stories and all the issues with that, right? Well, they want to have something else called business loan facilities. And this is where people could get business loans for their business, interest-free. They can be forgivable. And they wouldn't be so hard in checking your credit, because with the SBA, they did lots and lots of credit checks and people would get denied for that. But during a pandemic, when you can't pay your bills and you're going for help, how are you supposed to have good credit? I mean, the SBA was a nightmare. It was a disaster, but they do say they're going to do more funding for that, but they want to have specific business loan facilities. I think that would be fantastic, depending on how they do that, implement it and set it up. They want to have funding for schools, and they want to have mortgage forbearance until the crisis is over, and rent relief. My only issue is the rent relief we have had doesn't go far enough. It basically says you can't kick people out for owing money, but there is no program in place to actually help people pay that rent back. Because you could go a year without paying rent, and then all of a sudden the pandemic's over, and then you owe 10, 12 grand of rent. And if you don't pay it quickly, and most of you can't, unfortunately, not saying that to be rude, I'm just being realistic, then you are out on the street. So they can't just say, well, they can't be kicked out. We need to have some type of program in place to help people with their rent this year. I'm just so irritated. I'm so irritated that we're a year into this and this is where we are. But welcome to America, 2020, and the virus showing a big light on all of the issues that we have, and hopefully we can come together and fix them. Biden wants to give money to fund schools, and he wants to also do more student loan help, and that is desperately needed. So now, here's where it gets really interesting with the stimulus checks. Remember, we just talked about Kamala's and Bernie's plan for the $2,000 a month. He's been really quiet on the stimulus check front on direct payments, which I think we've all been scratching our head going, well, that's interesting. Trump wanted us to have bigger, better checks, more money, and Biden has been really quiet. But now we have some more information on this, on what Biden wants. So Biden wants to do state stimulus checks that would be divvied out by our governors. So it would be up to the state's discretion how that money is spent, and they could spend it. It wouldn't just be checks. They could spend it in different ways. They would spend it where they think it's necessary. So they could do direct payments. They could do child care credit. They could do things where they're helping the disabled and the chronically ill. Or they could also just do tax cuts and tax credits. So it would be up to the governors of the state. On the one hand, I think this is interesting because each state is going to have different issues and different needs. But with that being said, on the other hand, looking at this, I think direct stimulus checks to everybody would probably be better, because I think a lot of people end up falling through the cracks that shouldn't. So I don't really, I like the idea, but I don't think it can be executed well, if that makes sense. And I also think it's too right for it to be, I have to say the right words because YouTube gets mad at me, where the deck is stacked to help one people who might already have a leg up versus the others who are down here. That makes sense. So he also wants to rejoin the World Health Organization, because YouTube has gotten mad at me before when I've said anything about the World Health Organization. I'm not going to say anything. Please infer how I feel. I would just say when it comes to certain issues, I just don't trust many big organizations that let people across the world starve and die from things that are very needless. That's how I look at that. So he also wants to, now let's get into the medical aspect of this, okay? So medically, he wants to do free testing for all, even for people who don't have a legal status to be here. He wants to do PPE, high quality things, and better PPE for frontline workers, masks, N95s, etc. I think we can all be on board with that. He wants to have 10 mobile testing sites per state, and that would all be free. He wants to do reduced cost treatment plans where there's no deductible and no copay and no unexpected bills that come up or surprise bills. He also wants to give money for vaccine to get it distributed and get it out there to people, right? Created and distributed. And he wants to have stricter rules for the virus when it comes to OSHA regulations. I don't see any issue with that, except here's an issue that I do see. How are you going to do free testing for everybody? That's going to be my concern. So for instance, this is what Biden said. He's like, if you're going to go, he was like, we were talking to the scientists and they say no more than 5 to 10 people for Thanksgiving. And if you do Thanksgiving, 24 hours before Thanksgiving, you need to be tested. Where's the infrastructure for all those facilities to do that? And how are people going to pay for that? I was kind of giggling. I'm like, that's one of those things that, when the GOP says a Democratic wish list, I'm like, y'all are just fantasizing right there. Like, we don't have the infrastructure for that. You're saying everybody across the country, 24 hours, so everybody in one day all go get tested and get your test results back? It's not feasible. It's not, and I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer, I'm just being honest. That's not doable. So, he also says, he wants, and I do like this one. He says, there's a couple of them I do like. So he says he wants to deploy field hospitals when needed. So when these hospitals, we hear these reports where in hot spots they get overrun. And what was it? I think it was maybe in Houston. There was a nurse that came forward that said there's this place called the Pit, and that's where the really bad virus patients basically go to die. And they're only allowed 3 resuscitations, and doctors won't even go see them in there. It's very scary. So they would deploy field hospitals if they are needed. I think that is absolutely good. They also want to activate the Medical Reserve Corps for when the viruses surge. I'm all on board with that. And then he wants to put a lot more money into telehealth, which I've always thought, why wasn't this done sooner? You don't have to spend the time, the energy, the money, going to the doctor's office, sitting in there for 2 or 3 hours to be seen and maybe be getting help and then have to go back, all while you're sitting around a bunch of sick people. It's so inefficient now. And considering most doctors, in many senses, are just drug pushers and just say, go get these labs or go to this specialist, right? So I'm granted, I know there are some things where you need to go see your doctor, right? There are some things they have to look at and assess for themselves. I'm not saying that. But a lot of things at this point can be done over the phone, and why not? So they want to have more telehealth funding for telemedicine, tele-ICU care, and tele-emergency rooms. I think that's all fantastic, especially the tele-emergency rooms. This is speaking from somebody with chronic health issues who's had to go to the emergency room more times than I would like, and I've had to do it this year. And having the health issues I have, going to a hospital, to an ER, is very dangerous because they don't understand my health issues. I always have to educate the doctors and the nurses, and it's up to them whether or not they're actually going to believe me. Because women typically, many times, we are dismissed and we are not believed when we have health issues. They do this to all people, but specifically, they do it to women. We're looked at as just anxious or, oh, you're just stressed. Well, we have a society where we're the ones that have to pick up and take care of almost everything that happens because we've allowed, not all men, hashtag not all men, but we've allowed the majority of men to be able to just create horrible situations for us and then walk away and leave our lives in ruin where we even have to care for other people. Yeah, stress is a factor, and stress causes illness. Stress suppresses the immune system, so you are more prone to having some type of condition and maybe something chronic. But no, it's just crazy anxious women. Y'all, a lot of stuff needs to be fixed. A lot of stuff. But I think this is great because for somebody like me, I am not allowed to have a healthcare advocate come back with me, aka my boyfriend. When you go to the emergency room right now, it's just you by yourself. You're at the mercy on as regard to whether or not those doctors or those nurses want to help you. Now, I've had wonderful experiences with doctors and I've had a lot of awful ones. So it just depends. And even the wonderful ones, they're nice people and they just said, we don't know what's wrong with you. This is coming from somebody who's been misdiagnosed for 36 years and I just figured out all the things that are life-threateningly wrong with me and starting to fix them because for so long I was told your heart issues are anxiety. Nope, it's a major heart condition that you guys just kept overlooking because it's easier, because you're tired, you had a bad shift, you had a bad day, you just don't want to look too far into it. Your facility doesn't have enough funding to look into it. I mean, it gets insane. So for me, it's a dangerous situation to go to an ER and for people like me who have really bad issues that doctors, nurses don't know what to do with, and you can't have somebody back there. Like if I get incapacitated and I have a hard time speaking, which has happened with these issues, you need somebody who can be able to talk for you. So I'm all for tele-emergency room visits and even tele-ICU care. I wonder what that would entail, but if there are surges places and they just don't have enough room for people, that might actually be a benefit to people where it's like, well, you need ICU care, but we're going to keep you at home as long as possible. So we're going to help monitor things over the phone, right? It's better than going in the pit. Gosh, that's scary. Okay, so that's where we're at right now when it comes to those plans. So right now, unfortunately, even though Bernie Sanders is calling for 2K, even his running mate, Vice President-elect Kamala Harris is calling for $2,000 a month. Right now, unfortunately, it doesn't look likely. I am shocked that, well, I'm shocked but not surprised that, not even, you know what, I'm not shocked and I'm not surprised. I shouldn't say, I'm rolling my eyes right now. The left has talked about people need help. The kind, tolerant, loving left, people need help, people need help. And when it comes down to it, who's wanting to do the direct stimulus payments? Trump. Who's wanting to help with that? Trump. Who's wanting to get us bigger, better checks? Trump. Who's the only one who's actively tried to help us with any of this while the government just fights with itself? Trump. And now that apparently the left has been, at least for the moment, they are being called the election winners. There's no real plan in place for direct payments for us. But y'all are the kind, tolerant, loving left. I'm not talking about you find people watching that you lean. I'm talking about the crazies at the top, like Pelosi, like Mitch McConnell. Again, it just goes to show, like I've said with Pelosi, the kind, tolerant, loving left. And yet, during a pandemic, you let your state go homeless and you have laws to allow them to be homeless instead of just housing them. And I've seen different studies and things that say it's actually more financially beneficial for states and cities to house the homeless. It costs less to house them than to have them on the streets. But then again, here's the hypocrisy. So unfortunately, that $2K a month, we'll have to wait and see how much weight does Kamala have on the situation. I don't think there's going to be much, but at the same time, I'm also not in the situation. But then keep in mind too, because we are in an election battle, right now Trump is refusing to let Biden do any type of transition and have a transition team or transition situation into the White House so he can hit the ground running. As a result, it is possible that we have a situation where if Biden becomes president, was it January 20th-ish? If that all comes to pass, and if that happens, we're in a situation where it's very, very possible that Biden is just going to come in blindly and have to just really kind of start from scratch and have a couple months of planning to do because he couldn't before. And what does that mean? It means more time we have to wait to get help. I'm so frustrated, y'all. I think you can see it, you can hear it on me. I'm so frustrated, but I wanted to give you guys the information and go over this with you guys because I've been hearing about the $2,000 a month stimulus checks. Yes, Bernie's calling for it. Yes, Kamala's for it. Doesn't necessarily mean it happens or it's happening. So my question is, why isn't Biden doing more? And why doesn't he want to give us stimulus checks? I hope we get more clarity. I hope he comes out with a better plan that talks more about direct payments, but we will have to wait and see. Okay, guys, if you like this video, please give me a big thumbs up and like the video, subscribe, hit notifications so you can be notified what's coming in the pipeline for you and your stimulus money. Also, comments sound off. I want to hear everything you guys have to say. And please share this content with anybody that you know that's struggling right now. People who are on unemployment, waiting for stimulus checks, SBA loan and grant issues, and everything in between. I got tons of tools and tons of resources to help you guys with everything going on, and I would love the chance to help as many people as possible. And guys, the more you like, subscribe, comment, notifications, share the content, the more the channel grows, the more my channel grows, the more things I can do to give back to you guys. So for instance, we're giving away $100 gift cards. Very simple. This is all you have to do to be eligible. Like every video you see, subscribe, hit notifications, comment, share the content, boom. You're eligible, you're entered, that's all you have to do. Make sure and leave as many comments as you can and share as much as you can, because the more times you share, the more comments you leave, the more chances you have to win. If you leave 100 comments, 100 times more chance to win a gift card. Yay, good luck. Add me on Facebook, Katie's Insight, and go to the group. So like the page, Katie's Insight, the group is Katie's Corner. Will be changed to Katie's Insight soon. Go there, ask all the stimulus questions you want. We are giving daily updates to help you guys around the United States with different ways you can get money for stimulus. Okay guys, I'm tired and I think I'm gonna go ahead and sign off for here now. I say this every time and I'll continue to say it. Every time I sign off of these videos, I'm so humbled and I'm so appreciative that all of you have allowed me to be in this position, to come into your homes, into your hearts, into your minds, and give you this information. I hope I can be a benefit to you and help you with your life, as you guys have been life-changing for me. All I've ever wanted is to be of service to people, and you guys have allowed me the opportunity to do that, and I am just so beyond grateful. I was never the person that was like, oh, I fantasize about growing up and getting married and having kids. By the way, those are all beautiful things to want. More power to you. But I was the person saying, how can I help humanity the best? And you guys have allowed me to do that. So thank you for allowing me to live my purpose and allowing me to be able to get by while doing that. I have so much love and appreciation and respect for all of you. Okay, guys, take care and blessings. And until next time, I will see you soon. I have more videos coming. Mwah! Hugs and kisses. Bye, guys.